自我，硬漢子拼出一身刺，流汗血盡赤心，追尋大意義，生命作賭注，留下了英雄故事，憂患見骨氣，昂步顧盼似醒獅。
Hello, welcome for watching Police Report. I'm the host of this TV program, Kyle. So nowadays, crime are becoming more and more common. So how can we deal with this crime? And for example, there are security problems, so we have to protect our own information. So shall we take a look at the following cases to study how the crimes work and how to prevent these criminal cases occur again.
I finished my project finally. What a wonderful job I've done. By the way, I go to the toilet first. Second project. Oh, let me see. No, I didn't finish it. Okay, let me copy and stolen. This one. Let me see, the 1,000 of words, okay. Okay, I'm going to transfer to my phone. That's so lucky. She didn't lock her laptop. Okay. Yes, I've done it. Anyway, quickly.
A few moments later.
Let me see. What the hell? Where's my project? Who did this?
Privacy is becoming more and more significant for us because our personal information is confidential, so we have to protect it in different methods. For example, people will lock their smartphone, computer, or other electronic devices with different methods such as the pattern password or the fingerprint. So fingerprint identification is one of the most important way to identify the true user of the electronic devices. So the most common way is to use the capacitive scanner to scan their fingerprints and record it with the by generating the electronic pulse to it, and then we can get the data and save in the database for the registrations. And after that, when a person tries to log in to the electronic devices, he has to press his finger onto the scanner again, and the capacitive scanner will also record the data, and then it will match his data to the data which is registered earlier into the database. If it is similar, so it will approve it to log in. Otherwise, the user cannot log in because he or she is not the true user.
In order to identify human with using the unique feature of fingerprint, there are several steps. Firstly, we have to use a sensor to capture the fingerprint data from the biometric identifier used. Then, the unique feature of the fingerprint will be extracted and analyzed, and stored as a digital template. When the user wants to authenticate himself or herself, his or her fingerprint will be captured again and compared against the template. Lastly, an algorithm is used to compare if there is any matches between the stored templates or not. If there is not matches, the access is standing. sensor to see what will be tested tomorrow. Yes, I think I could. Yeah. That's the test. Okay, question and answer for tomorrow test. Yeah. Oh, so hard. How come? By the way, I got it. I'm going to copy it. Yes.
So here is the limitation of the optical sensor. It is not security enough for the important document because it cannot distinguish from the real fingers or the only a picture or flag size. You can use a similar fingerprint to open it, or you can print it on paper or and make the fingerprint of the owners can detect, put it on your finger and then put it onto optical sensor, and the optical sensor will assume that you are the owners. Then you can open the computers or other things. So it is not security enough for the optical sensor to use to storage the important things or some confidential things.
A capacitive fingerprint sensor generates the fingerprint image by using an array containing many thousands of small capacitor plates. The array plates make up the pixel of the image. Each of them acts as one plate of a parallel plate capacitor, while the thermal layer of the finger, which is electrically conductive, acts as the other plate, and the non-conductive epidermal layer as a dielectric in between. When the finger is placed on the sensor, faint electrical charges are created, building a pattern between the finger's ridges or valleys and the sensor's place. Using these charges, the sensors measure the capacitance pattern across the sensed surface. The measured value will be converted from analog to digital converter, which is 0 and 1, and then sent to the labeling microprocessor for analysis. It uses the 0 and 1, and using the highly compressed algorithm, it creates visual patterns of fingerprints. And every time you put your fingers on the capacitive fingerprint scanner, it would match the current fingerprint pattern, which is stored in the rendering fingerprint remainder that stored in the mobile, thus allowing the capacitive fingerprint scanner to work.
The fingerprint scanners present extra security. The human fingerprint contains unique rows and ridges that would be difficult for duplicating the fingerprint. It is very user-friendly and it is very easy to use because we just need to press on the button and collect the fingerprint data, and we can access to the electronic devices. It is very difficult for the hackers to guess or hack your fingerprint password because since our fingerprints, everybody got the unique fingerprint pattern, and it is difficult for them to hack your fingerprint to your devices.
What? Why I can't open it? What? What? So here is the limitation of the capacitive sensor. Because capacitive sensor of fingerprint is using the little circuits to define your ridges and the pores on your hand. And if you have some sweat or oil on your ridges, they may not detect the fingerprints on your hand. And it is limited the way you use your finger to open your phones because it will just storage side or the half of your fingerprint, and it cannot storage all your fingerprint using the capacitive sensor. Even if you every time you change the side to make the history of the fingerprint, because if you move the way too large or too far away from the previous fingerprint, it will not allow you to store your fingerprints. And it will make the user hard to open your phone because when we using our phone, we may use different sites to open our phone, and it cannot be detected.
For a truly competitive sensor, we are now using the ultrasonic sensor in the future. It can provide a 3D image more than 2D image on the capacitive sensor, and it can distinguish more on your fingers and increase the security of the fingerprints. So ultrasonic sensor is using the pulse that emitted from the sensor, and it is high frequency sound and bounce off the finger surface to detect the fingerprints. And by carefully focusing on the sound pulse, the sensor can also detect the blood vessel, fins, and other features underneath the skin. And even you can copy the fingerprints, and you cannot copy the blood vessel, fins, or other features underneath the skin. So it will increase the security level.
To conclude, because there are more and more criminal cases appear in this society, to adopt this situation, so we have to improve ourselves and improve our human identifications in fingerprints. So we have to use different techniques instead of the capacity optical or the ultrasound techniques. We have to improve ourselves to have a better human identification so that we can have a more harmonious city and society.
自我硬漢子，拼出一身刺，流汗血盡赤心，追尋大